Hey everyone, Joseph Henson here with Henson CPA Group. This week we have another topic we wanted to go over, and that is going to be profitability analysis, assessing the financial viability of clinic ownership strategies for financial success. Again, I'm Joseph Henson, CPA with Henson CPA Group, and a little introduction over what this topic is about. This topic is about the importance of profitability analysis. And the profitability analysis is a critical step for anyone considering clinic ownership. It helps you understand whether the clinic can generate sufficient income to cover its cost and provide reasonable return on investment. Today, we'll discuss various tools and strategies to assess the financial viability of a veterinary clinic. Our goals are to equip you with the knowledge needed to make informed decisions and ensure the long-term profitability of your practice. We'll cover key profitability metrics, revenue streams, cost analysis, break-even analysis, and more. There's always a lot in these, so I just want to go ahead and let's get started. The key profitability metrics. There's a lot here, so let's understand the main ones. The gross profit margin measures the difference between revenue and the cost of goods sold. It will give you insight into how well you're managing your direct cost of service. To calculate it, pretty simple. You're going to take your cost of goods sold and subtract that from the total revenue generated, and then divide by the total revenue. If you have $1,000 in sales and your cost of goods sold is $200, we're going to take 1,000 minus 200, divide by 1,000, 80%. The net profit margin shows your overall profitability after all expenses have been deducted. This includes your operating expenses, taxes, and interest. It's calculated by dividing net profit by total revenue. Again, $1,000 less 900 is going to be $100 of net profit. Then you would take that and divide by total revenue of 1,000. You're going to get a 10% net profit margin. This metric is crucial as it reflects the clinic's overall financial health. A typical veterinary clinic is going to run around 10 to 12%, and an elite clinic is around 18 to 20%. Operating profit margin will focus on operational efficiency by measuring the proportion of revenue left after paying for variable costs of production. Lights, water, all kinds of different things go into this, but it's calculated by dividing operating profit by total revenue. A higher operating profit indicates better control over your operating expenses. Revenue streams. You guys have a lot of services you're providing, and there's a lot that goes into this, whether this is surgeries, wellness checkups, grooming. There's a lot here. The revenue streams are essential for a clinic's profitability. Primary revenue sources typically include your clinical services, such as consultations, surgeries and treatments, product sales like medications, pet food, and accessories. Now, it's always a good idea to diversify your revenue. One of the ways to do that is by offering new services. It will help you with your financial stability. So always consider new services like grooming, boarding, or even specialized treatments. If you are a person who believes in acupuncture, try acupuncture. If you believe that all dogs should have their nails trimmed, be offering nail trimmings during appointments. Adding retail products that complement your service can also boost revenue. Grooming services can have, brushes for the house, dog beds. There's a lot here that can actually help your clinic with just a little bit of storage and promotion. Now, evaluating revenue growth. To evaluate your revenue growth, what you want to do is look at the historical data to identify trends, and it will help you set realistic growth targets. This will help with forecasting future revenue, and it's going to help you make informed business decisions. I've gone over this before, just how important it is to have accurate ideas of what is going to happen in your business. If you want to grow 40% next year, but your typical growth is about 5 to 10%, 40% might not be feasible. without a lot of additional work, a lot of additional hours, or bringing on a lot of additional staff. This is one of those areas that without accurate historical data, even your future forecasts are going to be a lot less reliable. Cost analysis. What is a cost analysis? So understanding cost analysis is going to be essential for managing your profitability. Fixed costs are expenses that remain constant regardless of the clinic's activity level, such as your lease payment, your utilities, and salaries. These are things that don't change whether you see one patient or 1,000 patients. These are going to be items that will stay pretty well consistent month over month, year over year. Obviously, in the winter months, if you have gas, your gas bill will go up, but it still is fixed. It doesn't matter how many patients you see. You don't see fluctuations in this based on that. These costs impact your break-even point and your overall profitability of the clinic. Now, a variable cost. Variable costs fluctuate with the level of business activity. So if you see 100 patients in a month, you're going to see a lot more expenses related to that than if you see one patient. This will include your medical supplies, any lab fees, and even utility costs that directly relate to services provided. If you're doing cremations in your clinic and you're using gas for that, that's obviously going to actually be a variable cost depending on how many cremations you provide that month for the owners of the pets. Managing these costs can be an effective way to improve your profit margins, to just see how can we reduce that. Some of the ways you can look at that for the medical supplies is negotiating your rates and seeing if you can get better fees on that. To manage fixed costs, negotiate favorable lease terms and review utility contracts regularly if you're able to. A lot of times you can't, but it's still sometimes something you can do. If you get propane to run your heat in the winter, you can actually look at filling up in off months, as they might offer better discounts. For salaries and benefits, ensure competitive compensation while still maintaining financial sustainability. Controlling the variable costs can be a little bit more work, but it does involve efficient inventory management and resource utilization, reducing waste and optimizing supply purchases. You don't want to leave your inventory on hand for months on end. You want to make sure that what's on hand is what's going to be needed within the next 30 days, typically, is a pretty safe bet. When might this not matter as much? If you're getting a really good discount at year end and it's going to help you reduce some of the burden that you typically see, it might be worth it. If you get a 15 to 20% discount for the same order you normally would make at year end for any other time of the year, then it might make sense to pre-purchase some of that just for the favorable price, as long as it is something that will not expire before it's able to be used. A break-even analysis. I mentioned break-even analysis in the last slide. A lot of people ask me, hey, I don't even know what this really is. So what is a break-even analysis? A break-even analysis is a tool that will help you determine when your clinic will start generating profit. It calculates the point at which the total revenue equals total cost, meaning no net loss or gain. If your total revenue is 1,000 and your total cost is 1,000, that is a zero-based profitability break-even analysis. The break-even formula is total fixed cost divided by the difference between selling price per unit and variable cost per unit. So a quick example, if your fixed costs are $10,000, the selling price per unit is 100, and the variable costs are 60 per unit, your break-even point is about 250 units. This analysis is actually one of the most crucial ones you can do for decision making. It helps in determining pricing strategies to understand how price changes will affect your profitability. Additionally, it evaluates the financial impact of adding new services or increasing operational costs. You want to look at this periodically. Is this something you want to look at every single month? No, it's not. But it is something you should analyze on probably an every 6 to 12 month cycle, especially if you're bringing on someone new, That will change your break-even analysis. Financial ratios. This is the world I live in. This is a world that I'm very familiar with, looking at financial ratios of the clinics we work with. So financial ratios provide insights into different aspects of your clinic's financial health. Liquidity ratios, such as the current ratio and the quick ratio, are ways to assess short-term financial health, indicating your ability to meet short-term obligations. Your credit card is typically a short-term obligation. That is something that we want to look at. So what is the current ratio? The current ratio is calculated by taking current assets divided by current liabilities. Well, hold up. What's a current asset? Current assets are typically going to be cash and cash equivalents and accounts receivable. What are your current liabilities? Credit cards, anything due within the next 30 days is a current liability. So what's a quick ratio? These are your quick assets divided by current liabilities. Quick assets are immediate cash on hand or things that you can liquidate, such as CDs, within a matter of days. You take that and you divide it by your current liabilities, which we just discussed. Solvency ratios, debt to equity ratio, long-term financial stability. So a solvency ratio, like the debt to equity ratio, is going to be calculated by taking the total liabilities divided by shareholders' equity. If your total liabilities are $100,000 and your shareholders' equity is $50,000, you have a 2-to-1 debt to equity ratio. This will help you evaluate the long-term financial stability of your clinic, showing how much of your clinic is financed by debt versus equity. Debt isn't always a bad thing if utilized in an appropriate way to help you grow and to help mitigate risk. Profitability ratios, these are going to include your return on assets, ROA, so your net income divided by total assets. Net income is going to be what we discussed in the earlier slide, where it is the bottom line after all of your expenses have hit, and then current assets or total assets are going to be any kind of cash, cash equivalent, receivables. It's also going to be your fixed assets, such as your equipment, vehicles, and those types of things. Now, you do take that, and like I said, that's going to measure the overall efficiency and return on investment. It's the same thing as a return on equity, net income divided by your shareholders' equity. These ratios really will help you assess how effectively you're using your assets and equity to generate profit. The better the ratio, the better you are at generating profit and using the assets that you have on hand. Benchmarking and industry standards. Your clinic, while it is self-contained, is one of many. You can compare how you are doing against the industry standards to make sure that you fall in line with what is typical. If it is typical for a clinic to grow 3 to 5% in a year and you're growing 1%, you're behind the industry standard. Benchmarking these really involves comparing your clinic's performance against industry standards to identify areas of improvement available to you. It will help highlight the strengths and weaknesses, and it will help you make more informed decisions on what to do with your clinic. Where can I get these sources? There's a lot of sources for benchmarking, including your industry reports, surveys, and financial data from similar clinics. A lot of the state societies can get this information, but there's all kinds of areas, journals, everything. Using this data will help you set realistic performance goals and continuously monitor and adjust your strategies going forward. Implementing changes based on these benchmarks involves identifying those key performance indicators, the KPIs, kind of like what we just went over, financial ratios and break-even analysis, and setting specific measurable targets. You need to look at these. You need to look at these regularly and review your progress and adjust your strategies to ensure continuous improvement in your clinic. These are those areas that are underutilized a lot of times to see how your clinic is doing, because it's not just simple, straightforward. It takes time. You need to have a trusted person in your corner who can help with this, because without that, you're just throwing a noodle at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. Next, we're going to look at the financial planning and forecasting. I talk about this a lot. It's important, guys. You need to look at creating a financial projection that includes your revenue forecast and expense estimates. It's going to help. It's going to help you anticipate future financial needs. It's going to help you anticipate and plan. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help you overall running your business. Revenue forecasting is pretty straightforward if you know what you're looking at. As long as you're taking what you currently do and you're taking the idea of a continuous revenue growth seriously, good. That's how you forecast revenue. But again, you need to know what is standard for the veterinary industry. Expense estimates, you can always expenses to go up. You can always expect expenses to go up. You can get these down, but expenses it gets more and more expensive. You guys have seen that. Everything's more expensive this year. Planning for growth and expansion will involve investing in new services or locations. Is it time to open a second clinic, or is it okay to start offering a new service? Did you just go to a training that really helped you fall in love with surgeries again and a new way to do surgeries? Well, maybe it's time to offer that as a new service. You want to evaluate the potential return on your investment for that and explore funding options such as loans, investors, or internal financing. You can loan your business those funds if necessary for that growth. It's just what makes sense for you and your business and long-term growth. Monitor your financial performance. You need to regularly monitor your financial performance through detailed reviews of your financial statements and your KPIs. This is going to help you again with adjusting your strategies based on performance to ensure that you stay on track with your financial goals. Your business isn't stagnant. Your business is ever evolving. Just like you do, you're constantly taking those steps to get better and to make sure that what you're doing makes sense. You don't want to continue doing the same thing over and over again when you know it doesn't work. So this brings us to our conclusion slide. Just a quick recap. We've discussed the importance of profitability analysis and provided some practical tips for assessing the financial viability of a veterinary clinic. You should always look at continuously learning and improving for the long-term success of your clinic and the long-term success of your career. The better you get, the better service you can provide, the quicker things get done, and the more you get to pass on that information to future generations. As always, utilize available resources such as industry reports, financial advisors, and benchmarking data to stay informed and make data-driven decisions. We don't want to just go based off of our gut. We want to make sure that the decisions we make have reasoning. We don't want to just, again, throw a noodle at the wall and see if it sticks. Let's make informed decisions together to see what can change in the business. As always, my name is Joseph Henson, Henson CPA Group. Email is joseph with 2 E's at hensoncpagroup.com. If you like these videos, please go ahead and give our page a like so you can always see what's coming up. We also do post these on YouTube, so you can find us there. Otherwise, I hope you guys had a great day and you have a great evening ahead of you. And if you need anything, you can always reach us